Directed by Tasha Hubbard, Singing Back the Buffalo follows Indigenous activists, environmental scientists, and communities as they work to restore or rematriate, as they explained it in the film, buffalo populations to the Great Plains after they were exterminated in the late 1800s as an act of genocide against Indigenous people who relied on them as a primary source of food and material. The film touches a lot on the environmental and spiritual significance of the buffalo, and it paints a really holistic portrait of how crucial it is that they return to the Great Plains because they were hunted almost to extinction, but now their populations are becoming a lot healthier, in large part to the work of Indigenous activists. Honestly, after seeing this doc, I will never look at a buffalo the same way again. I learned so much. Buffalo are a keystone species, which means that they help maintain like basically the entire ecosystem that they're a part of, and they can help improve an ecosystem's resistance and resilience against climate change. So apparently everything from like their fur to their mucus to their pee enriches the environment around them. I thought that was really interesting. I'd never heard that before. But like beyond the environmental benefits of buffalo restoration, it was really touching to hear about the spiritual significance that the loss and the hopeful return of the buffalo has had across a lot of different indigenous cultures, and how much work that different tribes have put into restoring the buffalo over time, despite just a disturbing amount of legislation that has been put in place to make it difficult for them to obtain ranches or to advocate for the safety of buffalo herds, especially ones that live near the Canadian-American border, because if a population travels over the border, I'm not sure which one exactly, but they might be more vulnerable to hunting, like the different regulation in the different countries can endanger them that way. So there's a lot of activism that has gone into protecting their populations and rebuilding the herds, and that was really hopeful. I really appreciated that. Um, and there's just a lot of focus on how amazing it would be if the populations did come back. So I like that there is like again a very holistic view about the impact of the buffalo, and we hear not only about how tragic it was to lose these populations, but also just the amount of dedication and passion a lot of people have about the buffalo and how willing they are to continue to work on restoring these populations. I did have one little issue with the film, which was that around three-quarters in, I kept thinking that it was about to end because it kept fading to black, but then like another landscape would show and then like a new segment would happen. But what it kind of did was like it kept conditioning me to think the film was going to end because it faded to black. But then when it turned back on, I was like, oh, it's still going. Like that was like the kind of mental disconnect. So it made me feel like it was dragging on, even though the stuff that happened at the end was still interesting. Like I don't think that should have been cut. I just think that the editing kind of disrupted the viewing at that part. But honestly, otherwise, I thought it was a really educational film. It taught me a lot about something that I didn't know anything about. And it was just really beautifully done. Like the cinematography is such a treat, truly. Like I never thought of buffalo as beautiful before, but they're absolutely beautiful. So that's one that you should check out. Big thumbs up. Big thumbs up.